Hello everyone, it is me, Remus Gaming Elite. I am sorry for the time I have been absent from posting videos on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna try to get it kicked back up, but with everything going on, school, college applications, it's sometimes hard to do things like this. And I'm gonna actually switch it up today. I'm going to do a review on my personal favorite console of all time, the Nintendo GameCube. I have my little cheat sheet. It was released November 18th, 2001 in North America. It was released, I believe, in September in Japan, and 2002, I'm not sure the date, but sometime in 2002 in Europe. Well, first of all, you think, what makes like a console so great? You know, well, obviously the console, the library, system design, what games they have, controllers. The GameCube pretty much saw one controller and then a kind of like different controller, but pretty much the same thing. So, the GameCube was such a poor selling console, just selling over 13 million units. It was Nintendo's worst selling console for a long time, until the Wii U came out, which did not sell as well as the GameCube, so it's not the lowest selling Nintendo console still, but it was it for a long period of time. So now, you ask, what does the GameCube look like? Well, I'm not going to bring mine out because it's in a different location, and it's a little different, my GameCube, but this is your standard GameCube. Here we are. There's your GameCube. Now, if you noticed on that picture, it has a handle, making it one of the only game consoles that is supposed to be brought somewhere. Other than the Nintendo Switch, pretty much, which is the new one of Nintendo. Not really new anymore, coming out in 2017, but it's the newest so far. And it is Nintendo's best-selling console. It surpassed the Wii. And so, it had a handle. It was meant to be taken somewhere. Now, yes, back in the day in 2001, you weren't going to take all your AV cables and stuff, and your router stuff, to have to plug it in to play it on someone's TV. But it was still there. So even if you wanted to do that, you could. It was still there. You could do it. Now, you may be asking, well, the GameCube, don't they use discs? Well, yes. After the Nintendo 64, they realized, well, cartridges, they're much more expensive to make, and they can't store as much information as a disc. So what did Nintendo do? They made a disc, alright, but they made a disc kind of like a mini disc. See, it's kind of small. They did that. They had good intentions. They did it for piracy because they figured, well, it's easier for someone to pirate a normal size disc, but with a mini disc, it's kind of hard to pirate that. So, I mean, they did do that. That did hurt them in the long run, though, because now they could only store like 1.3 gigabytes when other consoles could store, like the PlayStation or Xbox could store like 4 gigabytes because they had a full-size disc. So it did hurt them, as the games couldn't be as in-depth. Another thing that's great about the GameCube is the Game Boy Link cable. The Game Boy Link cable allows certain games to connect to the GameCube on your Game Boy Advance, and it's a little cord that you plug into your GameCube, you plug it into your Game Boy Advance, and you can play along sometimes, depending on the game, if it's compatible with the GameCube. This is a really great tool, I think. There are a few games that support it, most notably on the GameCube being Zelda, Legend of the Four Swords, or something like that, where you had to have a GameCube and 4 Game Boys, 4 Game Boy Link cables. Yes, very inconvenient, but people did it, and you can play on the GameCube, and you switch back between the GameCube TV and the little screen on your Game Boy Advance, and it's a pretty cool thing. I've never played it myself, but it's a pretty cool thing. Now, Nintendo came out with the Wavebird. Nintendo's take, and very good attempt, actually. They really succeeded on this, I think, at a wireless controller. So, before the Wavebird, pretty much all consoles used wires to connect your controller to the console, or infrared sensors. But the problem with the infrared sensors were, they were really bad, because even if you the sensor wasn't pointing directly at the console. Like, if it was a little to the right or a little to the left, boom, your controller's disconnected. And, it's just annoying. But now with the waveboard, you can tilt it, you can put it over, you can take it to the left, you can take it to the right. Boom, it still works, and everything works fine. Now, getting to the controller. This is the GameCube controller. I should note that the GameCube consoles came in multiple colors, most notable being indigo, black, and then there was the Platinum Edition. This is an indigo controller that most likely would have came with a indigo console. It's honestly, in my opinion, one of the greatest game controllers of all time. It just, like, you put it in your hands, it just fits. Immediately, I just pick it up and boom, it's there. My 2 fingers on the triggers, my hands on the, the buttons. I have a C stick here. If I lower my thumb a little bit, I have a D-pad in case I don't want to use the stick. And what's really great about these controllers is, with Xbox even today, when you press the controller, it doesn't really make much of a noise. Now with this controller, if you listen to it carefully, the analog triggers will click, indicating, when you hear that noise, I pressed the button, or you'll see it on screen. So it was really a good thing for GameCube. And now there's also a little Z button right here that you would kind of like that. I use it mostly on Mario Kart Double Dash. That's how you switch characters. But yeah, honestly, a great controller. This is the Platinum version of it. Same thing, just a different color. Now, what else was on my list? Yes. So now, Sega in, I think, 2000 came out, or 1999, I think it was 2000 in North America, came out with the Sega Dreamcast. Let's just say that was another failed console. It didn't do that well, and it shut down before GameCube. It was discontinued, rather, before GameCube was discontinued. So, Sega's like, well, we don't have a console. Why don't we become partners with Nintendo? So they made plenty of Sonic games and Sega games on the GameCube. And this was like a big thing for Nintendo, They had the Dreamcast, which was a big competitor, even though it didn't do well. The Sega Genesis, which was the #1 competitor for the the Nintendo Entertainment System. They're like, wow, this is great. And so they had a nice, still today, with Sega, making Sonic games on the Nintendo Switch. Sega's not really too much of a console company anymore, but they still develop stuff, I think. Now, seen as most... I am not a video game, I don't know everything there is to know, but from what I know, this is basically the best console attachment of all time on the GameCube. It was called the Game Boy Player. It was a little piece you would plug under your GameCube, and it would allow you to play your favorite Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games on your GameCube, on your TV. Which was a big thing, because, you're tired of staring at that little screen, or if it doesn't have, most of the Game Boys didn't have backlights, so it was hard to kind of see the screen sometimes. You plug your little thing into the Game Boy adapter, boom, it's on the TV, big nice screen, you can play it with the GameCube controller, great. And it was a great thing back then, because now people who wanted to play Game Boy games can now play it on a nice screen, instead of having to look at this tiny little minuscule screen that you could barely even see. Now, another great reason the GameCube is the best console of all time, in my opinion, is the library. It had great games. 2 of the best Zelda games of all time, being Zelda the Wind Waker, which, with the animation, was amazing, and the other one, Twilight Princess, would later be released for Wii, because it was at the end of the GameCube's lifetime, but still seen as an amazing Zelda game today. Also, it had, debatably, most people think the best Super Smash Bros. Game of all time, Super Smash Bros. Melee, which I have right here. Here's your little disc. You can have the Smash symbol on the disc, see? There's the back. Seen as the best game, the best Smash Bros. Game of all time. by most people. It also had Metroid Prime, which was the I don't know how to put this, revival of the Metroid series, and considered by most the best Metroid game of all time. Now, well, every gaming console by Nintendo has to have a Mario game. I forgot to address this before. The GameCube, at release, did not have a Mario game, and fans were like, wait a second, where's my Mario game? So instead, they came out with a new series that they tried called Luigi's Mansion, which is basically Mario's brother, Luigi, would have to go through a mansion and find all the ghosts and stuff. You know, it's not a very long game. You can complete it in like 6 hours, but it still was a big risk by Nintendo that paid off, and they even have games today, like Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS. And I think they ported it to Nintendo Switch recently. They took risks with the GameCube, and all the risks pretty much paid off. You know, they had Animal Crossing, which is now one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. That was started on the GameCube. You know, Pikmin, not as big as Animal Crossing, but still liked by many, started on the GameCube. Like, try to explain Pikmin to someone, what is this game? When you play it, it's like, oh my god, this game's amazing. They continued the Paper Mario franchise from 64 with Paper Mario The 1,000-Year Door, which is apparently pretty good. I've never played it myself, but then we have the revival, and I think if I'm correct, no, I think there might have been one on the Wii, but it was one of the last F-Zero games released, F-Zero GX, which was a great racing game for the GameCube. Like, it was like Mario Kart, but it's F-Zero, with F-Zero characters, Captain Falcon. You also had, what was it? Yes. No. I'm forgetting now, but anyway, moving on. So after a little while in the GameCube's library, they're like, alright, well, we're gonna release a Mario game. Everyone's expecting, you know, your nice 2D platformer game, side-scroller, rather, your 2D side-scroller, and then they're like, well, we came out with Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64, so we're gonna stick with 3D games. Boom! Mario Sunshine was born. Super Mario Sunshine. It is a 3D Mario game, and you get a new power. It's not really a power. It's more of like an equipment. See, you get Flood, which is a little thing that you squirt all the ink with on the ground. See? You have to kill all the monsters. It's a really fun game. It's a really great game. And then you have, well, we've had Mario Kart on the SNES. We've had it on the N64, Mario Kart 64. We had Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy, which it's a pretty bad game. It's like Super Mario Kart, but Super Mario Kart honestly might be better. What Mario Kart is going to come on the GameCube? Well, another thing Nintendo took so many risks with was Mario Kart Double Dash. You know, it allows you to play with two characters on one cart, and it's the first and only Mario game that does that. And if you're playing multiplayer, you can play with your friend on the same cart. One will drive, one throws the items. It's a really fun mechanic, and whether Nintendo is going to bring it back or not, nobody knows. But that's what makes this Mario Kart game so unique, and honestly might be my favorite Mario Kart game of all time. But it's such a good game. Even though it only has 16 tracks, it really did things well with the special items. Baby Park being the only Baby Park really successful one that everyone likes is on here. And it originated on here. Everyone likes this game. There's your manual. It has a racing flag on the disc. Everyone loved this game. And then Nintendo took a lot of risks with the sports games. They came up with Mario Tennis, you know, Mario Super Strikers, which is soccer. And they came out with what I have, Mario Superstar Baseball for the Nintendo GameCube. It was their attempt at baseball by Nintendo using Mario characters. Of course, you know, you have Madden on the GameCube, you have NHL on the GameCube. What about Mario Baseball? And it's a great game. Honestly, a great game. I've beaten it. I've beaten the game. It's really fun to play. I really like this game. And they only, I think, either followed up with one other just baseball title, which is Mario Super Sluggers. I should have brought that in the video. It's in my basement. But Mario Super Sluggers, which was basically this game with motion controls. Some like it better, some like it worse. It also had a few other differences, but they're not that important. So now, at the time of the release, GameCube games were expensive, like games are today, being $60. So, a lot of the GameCube games are more expensive than their release. Like this game, Superstar Baseball, $60. I got it for $55. I got a steal on this thing. This can sell for like $100 easily with the manual. I don't have the manual, but if I did have the manual, $100 easily. Even like without the manual, $80. I've seen this. It's crazy. Another game, which I think I got a steal on Mario Kart Double Dash, easily $100. I did not get it for that. I got it for much cheaper. But still, I have everything for $100. It's like this game is $100 if you try to buy it today or more. We have Mario Sunshine, which I also got another good deal on. This is around $60. I got it for like $40, I think. And I got the Player's Choice Edition, which is rarer and more expensive. So this is a really good game too. And my Melee, I have some more GameCube games, but they're not really relevant to the GameCube's lifespan. But Melee, I got it for $70, easily like a $90 game now. And honestly, I used to think, oh, it's in not the best condition. You see, look at the condition flaws. But honestly, when I relook at it, it's in pretty good condition. Like I don't have the manual or anything. There's a few little nooks and crannies on it, like you can see. But honestly, it's in pretty good condition. For $70, I think it's a really good price. And now, Nintendo. They finally made what Nintendo fans wanted. A standard gaming console that would be able to compete with the Xbox and PlayStation. Well, why didn't the GameCube sell well? It was what Nintendo fans wanted. Well, while it was what Nintendo fans wanted, the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox both had DVD compatibility. Meaning, you could play your DVDs on your PlayStation 2 or your Xbox. So, if I bought a GameCube for when it came, I think it was $200 when it came out. It was lowered to $99 later on. But if I bought a GameCube, I'd also have to buy a DVD player, which were expensive at the time in 2001. So with this, I could just buy a PlayStation and have a DVD player built in. So it's a win-win for everyone. So that's mostly why the GameCube didn't do well. And of course, in Japan, there was a GameCube. It was developed by Panasonic that had a DVD player in it. But it never came outside of Japan, and in North America, we don't have it today. So, but I feel like if that would have come to North America, the GameCube would have been a really successful console. Because it actually would have been able to compete with PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. Which, really, PlayStation still today, PlayStation 2, the best-selling console of all time. Nintendo GameCube, not the worst-selling console by any means, still 13 million, but compared to other things, it's just what is the GameCube? So I think people that bought a GameCube or had a GameCube backwards compatibility on their Wii like I have, they're really happy with their GameCubes, their library, everything they can do on it. But the games are fun. They were fun back then. They're still fun to play today, making it my favorite console. Just because of everything I explained in this video. It is such a good console. And it will always have a special place in my heart as a gaming console. But some people just don't even know about it. It's just a forgotten console sometimes. So, this is my review on the GameCube, and I hope you enjoyed. We Miss Gaming Elite, signing out.